Hey, what's up, everyone? Eric Rosen wanted to talk to you today about this Jupiter direct that we have coming up on February 4th. You're catching this video after the fact. That's okay, because potentially we have 8 months of really beautiful blue skies that can be ahead in our personal lives, more of like that domesticated around your environment, your day-to-day experiences type thing. It's an opportunity for us to not look so far out into the world for positivity, but more so find it in just the gratitude and the circumstances of how things are now, and that things can start to maybe grow and expand a little bit more. That Jupiter that's been retrograde the last 4 months, I think has been teaching us how to have a better outlook, a better attitude, even when it seems like things aren't changing, things aren't growing. And if you did have breakthroughs in abundance, that's amazing. I think that there's an opportunity to take that belief perspective of the lens of how you're viewing your life experience to the proverbial metaphysical bank, and to keep cashing those checks, so to speak, that is clearly something that's working for you. But if it's felt like it's been a struggle with circumstances, maybe even like communicating points of view, this could even be where like it feels like overwhelming to even like come to some sort of neutral mutual understanding between parties of different people, because people have a different lens of an experience, then that's places to tweak. That's what showed up for me personally the most. Of course, it shows up in other places in my astrology right now, but it's more so like, how do we collectively find not so much like a sing-song, voice, because there's actually, there's things going on, but how do we just see with a bigger, wider lens of things? And that's why Jupiter doesn't like to be in Gemini. It doesn't want to have to really take on all the details of things. The best experiences in life, Jupiter and Gemini teaches us, is that if we can be a little bit more of a fact checker of the stories that we're telling ourselves, kind of like an Eckhart Tolle, be the watcher, the thinker, watching our thoughts, that's where things go better, because then we see that we're the shot caller, like we're that Jupiter, Zeus, godly energy that chooses which side of the coin are we choosing to view things. So if you want to go deeper than that, you want to find out not just what this Jupiter direct means for you personally, because that's just one transit that I'm talking about, but on a bigger scale, what's going on, whether that's through your natal chart. You can look at that through the ebook that I have for sale, or you can look at it through an astrology reading to actually look at where is 2025 taking people. I have a feeling that some people might be in a watch and see mode, like what's going to happen before they maybe make moves in their personal life, which is understandable. I think there's some justification of having to understand what's going on in the greater world and connecting your intuition to where you're going, but to not be afraid about whether it's like the new thing with the tariffs and how that's going to affect prices and things like that. But like what I've been saying to people, since 2018, and that the only safest investment left on the planet is in yourself. Everyone thought it was going to be crypto. Crypto prices are dropping, at least at this time, as a result of this tariffs on Canada and Mexico. There's a lot of sweeping uncertainty that we're stepping into. But what this time teaches us is that the only thing that's really certain is the capacity of the human spirit to overcome problems. But it's also knowing very deeply at a soul level, on a personal level, what we bring to the table in terms of those solutions, especially to more of a communal connection aspect of things, because it's not about like one person, doing it alone. I think Elon Musk is a good representation of that. It's like where he's not doing it alone, but he's trying to be the face of a lot of things, and it gets really weird really quick. And then when we understand our strength and our power of like what we're really here to do during this transitional time on planet Earth, then we don't get duped into like other people's agendas, because now with Pluto and Aquarius, it's about other agendas that are hidden more in society and not so much in like the hierarchy of like governments and infrastructures. It's a little bit more in plain sight, but it's like overlooked because it might look like it has the solution when it really doesn't. It's like the solution is in the human spirit. Like we're the ultimate technology and the AI and just all of it. It's our intentionality of what we're bringing to the table. And the things that get in the way of intentionality is old belief systems and traumas and things like that. So that's where I take people deeper, and that oftentimes does come up in readings, but also doing breath work and hypnosis and shamanic energy work to clear these things. Because I mean, what good are we, I don't want to say this from like a shameful devaluing standpoint, but what good is the experience if we're not putting ourselves on the front lines of the, we chose to come here in 2025 and 2026, and we can stand on the sidelines and be waiters and watchers of what's going to happen. But I think it's more important to accept the fears and find that inner human strength and connection that things are always uncertain in some capacity. Like the energy is always in movement, and then it's not one way or the other, just like buckling down only on our personal life and ignoring the world, nor is it like being upset about what's going on in the world and then like not making changes in the personal life, and then even worse, like blaming the circumstances in the personal life on the greater world thing. Would be a very like poor use, I think, in a way of the overwhelm of Jupiter and Gemini, instead of using it for the more optimistic outlook of you can work with the subconscious stories and deal with the lens of reality that you're telling yourself. So we've all got these evolutions that we're all going through. They're all very important. No one's chapter, no one's story is fully written. Jupiter and Gemini does teach us that, you know, we get to write that story one note at a time, and everyone's experience and story and how they see things is valuable. And I think that's the most important piece to this, is that it's letting go of what the old stories were and writing the new one note at a time, but also listening to other people's notes of their stories, and then actually being neutral and compassionate to see, do those notes slide into our sheet music of what we're writing. It's easier to come to solutions when those defenses are dropped between us. And I know that could be a hard time right now because it can all seem very real, but it's like have empathy and compassion for kind of this collective initiation process that we're all watching, because like it just gets harder from here for the people that are really struggling. I hate to say it, but it's like unless there's some form of self-actualization and just even the basics of like using spirituality to be a humble human that's growing and evolving and helping others, like if we're not doing those parts and staying locked in those old programs that society and media likes to lock us into, it only gets harder from here. But and I wish I could say it gets like so much better, you know, for the pipe dream stories that of the golden age stuff that we all wish to see as spiritual beings and light workers. But the truth is that I think it's not going to go how we'd exactly hoped, and I think it was more so relishing in the appreciation and gratitude for the deep work that we put in to get to this point, so that we can feel like a stronger, more indomitable leader that doesn't get their spirit broken, because we've been through so much shit. And it's not even in like an egoic way that we're invincible, because that won't go well. But it's like, I was looking at it, it's like, man, I've been through so much that it does almost like kind of create a sense of like resilience, like insult. That was the beauty of, I think, of Pluto and Capricorn. So it's like, now that we're also aware of Pluto's transits, because people just were not talking about Pluto and Sag if you look back to '08, those years prior. And it's like, now that we're familiar with this transformational rebirth process in life, I think that we get to go, okay, well, Pluto's not a motherfucker. He's not here to like destroy everything. He's just here to like wake things up and transform things and rebirth things. And so it's our connection. It's how we think about humanity. It's how we're of service. But not to get like obsessed with how it all looks, or with each other too. Knowing when to connect, disconnect, and that, we can all love each other from afar too. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, regardless of the transits, right? Because it's all transitory. It does always go back to love, but we're here to have that experience of how we get there and write those chapters. And so I'm going to bid you all adieu. This is, just want to pop in and especially talk about this Jupiter going direct, because it is a very positive thing. It is going to head towards Cancer mid-year, which is a beautiful placement for it. And it's not the only, but maybe one of the lone bright spots for, I think, people that is coming, that maybe struggle with sudden changes and the shocks and shifting and endings and things like that. It can feel a little bit safer, but it's like using Jupiter in its last direct motion in Gemini for the next 12 years now to create a better attitude, a better outlook. Jupiter does teach these philosophical lessons, which can feel overwhelming if we're not ready for it. But, it's when you have that excitement to get the experience, like when it's something you want to learn, you want to study, you want to take that college class, so to speak. But it's learning from your own just day-to-day regular experiences that shape our behavior. And this is just how we can become a better person, a better like neighbor. But it's like being the better neighbor to the whole like world, of if you're putting a positive outlook on your circumstances and almost having an eternal optimism, kind of like a Ted Lasso, and just being cool with how things are shaking out, and kind of talking to people like more that way. Because at the end of the day, it would be so easy to go, well, this and this is going to go back as this country or this president, but the stuff was always written in the stars that there was always going to be these feeling of end time transits with all this late stage Aquarius and Pisces anyway. So it's like, it never really, it doesn't matter, I think, as much as like we think that. It's more so like where the people that you see like out in the world that are getting more of the attention, more like made sense to be the chess players that reflect the astrology and a divine manifestation like of that like reflection. And just to be clear, I'm not saying God chooses a president. I'm saying that it's just like you can see this stuff playing out in the cosmic background of astrology. And so to have the negative, overwhelming attitude of like Jupiter and Gemini and be like, it's all a piece of shit, it's like, this is all bad, it's too much, the world's this and this, would be like saying that God's plan and the astrology and all that is wrong, like that the universe took a wrong turn. But we could look back 50 years ago and seeing that this astrology was still coming. Like it doesn't fail. And so this is why we use it. We use it to adapt to the fact that things are always changing or in motion. But how can we use it to just, I would say, especially like, because everyone can see it different, but maybe the most universal would be the Dolores Cannon approach of, we came here to have an experience, like to learn, to grow, to, you know, go through this lesson, shed this karma, learn how to manifest, deal with the laws of the universe. And so that's the positive thing of Jupiter and Gemini, where it's like this beautiful, like, here to just, every moment is a big, beautiful potential for a new experience. And some of this is, of course, reflected on the Pisces energy too. Like Venus is leaving, but still got North Node, Neptune, and Saturn there. And it's like, it can be this boundless universe. It can be the convoluted universe too, which was, I think that was Dolores Cannon's first book. But this is a piece where it's only convoluted with that South Node in Virgo if we're seeing it like in fragmentation. And trust me, that it's so easy for that to show up and happen. So we almost have to get out of our hustle and bustle activities and always being stimulated and doing something in a routine if we want to reach for that spiritual essence and to step beyond the mundane, to step beyond the profane, to step into that luminous light space, that liminal space, that spiritual threshold that I think we're all searching for, but just the training programs taught us to search it in stuff that can be marketed to us to make us happy on so many freaking levels, when really you can find God and spirit just sitting outside with the horn honking while you're doing a video and your dog laying by a tree and the neighbor's house in the background that probably isn't the best like backdrop for an astrology video, but whatever, you know. This has been the best part of my day because it's like the South Node Virgo stuff, all the busyness, and then it's like, all right, well, it's South Node. It's like, as I'm recording this, South Node on Virgo, South Node on Lilith that's retrograde in Virgo, and then North Node on Neptune with Venus in Pisces. And it's like, well, let me just shed this fragmented, do what I want, go do this thing, and just not even running the calculation and go, what's God's plan? It's like, well, get out in some nature, like take a load off, rest. That's been the clear indication the whole day. Remember, it's still Mars retrograde in Cancer for a few more weeks, so it's like being the little kid that wants to, you know, move forward and maybe take some of the new profound insights and gifts of Jupiter and put them together right away in that South Node, but then it doesn't go together right, and it doesn't get the results, and it feels stressful because this is a deep rejuvenation tied to be spiritual, and it can seem like there's every factor, reason in the world to try to like save it or fix it because of what's going on. But the truth is that if you feel like you got to turn your energy inside out to make something happen right now, it's not fixable anyway. It's outside the wheelhouse anyway. It's so your domain would be more so the spiritual being that you are, that's the effort that you're putting in, like it's guided and it's aligned. And the biggest thing in my whole spiritual experience this past 2 years that I really feel is true in a lot more ways than what we know, and this is the most beautiful part of this rising of the divine feminine consciousness that had not been on this planet, is we don't have to do as much as we think. We do that to ourselves to distract ourselves from that egoic death that connects beyond the physical reality, that accepts that we're going to leave this planet someday, that we can connect with heaven and God and spirit now and have this beautiful experience that has nothing to do with what's going on in the physical or possessions or something that's being marketed as a solution or a problem that needs to be fixed or any of it. We actually align our spirit and our consciousness with the solution that does make sense, that does influence this reality when we spend more time in the spiritual flow of things. So I'll get out the soapbox now and enjoy my sunshine. Appreciate you all. If you want to get that ebook, click on that link down below. If you want to get an astrology reading from yours truly, that link will be down below as well. Catch you on the next video.